Yeah, I had a crazy dream that I hit some type of police checkpoint, and I've been watching a lot of amendment audit YouTube videos. And after 3 minutes of waiting, I was like, "You guys have 3 minutes to let me be on my way, or else I'm going to leave anyway." And then that triggered a confrontation or a standoff, and it was essentially the battle of egos. And my strategy was to incite them to continue escalation so that I could catch a multi-million dollar lawsuit, or for them to catch a multi-million dollar lawsuit. And so it's just essentially like just playing game theory. And then I woke up as we were like, me and old boy were like face to face, like in each other's face. And like that's when like consciously I was fearing that my adrenaline and my subconscious would go into like primal mode. I was like, Scott, don't f this up. Let him tase you or beat you up. Don't maintain cool, maintain emotional like order. And then I woke up, so I wasn't able to see the end of it.
No,
Yeah, that's the type
crazy.
of stuff I dream about.
Yeah, I was dreaming last night too. I can't remember what the heck it was about, but a lot of times I remember vividly what I was dreaming about, but I guess it depends on how impactful it is. So, but
um, I was I was trying to track down a bug. It's not a bug. I is this thing still up?
yeah,
All right, so let me let me share my screen real fast and warp drive. Right. All right. So where do I even start? So do you maintain like scripts
scripts for uh,
to put the software that's under development into a specific state instead of going through the UI to do it?
um no, not really. We have um but no, not actively.
Yeah. My next question was, if you do, then what's your preferred? Um, well, maybe not necessarily preferred, but what method do you use um, mostly, or mostly probably isn't a word. What method do you use most? Do you use like a literal script file, or do you use a automated test to just do it for you? Except it's not really a test, but you could just kick it off every single time by just easily searching for that particular test method.
Um okay, so you're talking about if you want to manually test something and get something into a state
Hmm.
for that manual test. Okay. Yeah, that I don't think I've ever really done. I've wanted to, but usually it's too complex because you got to do a bunch of stuff through the UI. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, right now I'm trying to right now I'm trying to track. It's not really an issue. Well, in a way it is because I just added a JSON column and it's not showing up. So specifically in this courier service that I have, um, there is I don't even know if it's courier. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in this courier service that I have, it's supposed to create an open order, and then so like a customer places a order, the courier service is going to, well, what I thought was going to go ahead and create the initial order, and then based on courier status updates, that order the order status would be updated all the way to the end of the pipeline, aka when that order is finally delivered or canceled. And so, like, I have this infrastructure over here for like creating the order and everything, and I was added a new column to have the JSON string in it, so I could easily incorporate the that particular order into my scripts when I need to force something for additional testing. And this isn't being executed. Like the breakpoint's not even being hit. And so here's my argument with practicing microservices is I have no clue where this order is being created at, because where I thought it was being created at, where I have uh, all this code at,
Mm-hmm.
it's not doing it. So that's where I was at, and I have like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven different places to search. Um, yeah, so I literally have uh, data store items being created, and I don't know where it's coming from. And I know that violates the whole SRP, or single responsibility principle. But yeah, so that's where I was at, scratching my head, because I have all this code to do it, and it's not even executing from there. So
Yeah, and it's not just that. Like I've had a couple times where, Visual Studio, the debugger gets out of whack and just doesn't pick up when I'm trying to debug.
uh,
But yeah, it's probably not that. Well, there's only got to only be so many things that'll actually do it. Have you ever thought about putting together a master solution where you can drop all the projects in at one place and um, and then just open it, be able to do cross um, service searches and things like that?
oh no, I haven't considered that, but that sounds like something that would probably be easier. Because like, can't you go in like the solution properties, and I thought there was like a startup over here, and then you can have multiple startups that just
Oh yeah.
so like right now I'm manually doing all this stuff. Um, but in your case, what you're suggesting is if I had a master solution, I could add all these. Um, I could add all these microservice repos, whatever, in there. But man, it's going to take a long time to compile. Um, maybe not. But yeah, if I did it this way, create a master solution, go to solution properties, modify multiple startup projects option, and then do all that right there instead of me manually starting it. Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, because so you probably have multiple repos for it. So you could use like Git submodules and then just create a solution file, and then you'd have to recreate probably all the project reference. I don't know. I guess it depends on whether the solution maintains those or not, but I can't remember. But yeah, you just add all the projects into this solution at a root level with a bunch of submodule GitHub submodule stuff, and then you could just when you get something like this where you want to just put it all together and have a picture in one window, you'd have the the capability to do that. But I don't know
Yeah,
if it would really help you.
I can't imagine where this is being created at. Um, and and it's just me. Like, I should know where all this stuff is, and I don't even. So I can only imagine what a team goes through. But I guess that's what like test automation and monitoring is for. Uh, so All right, so nothing's in there yet, which is fine because I didn't place the order yet. Place the order, and like I'm expecting to have a JSON column, but and like the courier service, like that stuff just never gets triggered. So, oh, I know why. Oh shoot, because there's no courier that accepted that. It's the test that I have over here that will do a accept, but I have to manually execute it. So, of course, that would make sense. Okay.
You just needs to explain it to someone.
Yeah.
It's rubber ducky programming.
Yeah. 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 You would think that, and I'll get off of this whole solution thing, but it should happen in this delivery request. It should initially create the open order. If I could bet, it would happen in here. Oh, see, here we go.
Oh, hey, buddy.
I want to fuzz.
Hey, buddy. I'm on a call right now, though.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you go up to Mama and show her?
That's
He
cool.
busts in without any underwear on and
Oh wow.
letting it free hang. Kids just do what they want, man.
Yeah, because they haven't been corrupted by society.
Yeah.
I think it's well, not your kid walking around butt naked in front of a camera, but I think it's cool that kids start off virgins to not being influenced by society, and then all of a sudden they develop a self consciousness, and then
Yeah.
things start to go downhill for the most part. I think there's more disadvantages than advantages for being self conscious.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they say ignorance is bliss. So
But yeah, out of sight, out of mind. Like if my bank account's not right and I have bills, I don't even open them. I just throw them away. When I get money, then I'll open it and pay it immediately. And so, like, what's the point? It's like, what's the point of acknowledging something that you're not prepared to handle? And I think all of this is essentially me living my life with the model, for lack of a better term, of we only worry about what we choose to tolerate. So that's pretty much my strategy for mental, I don't know, sanity, for better or for worse. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to return back to our regular scheduled discussion. Just want to, now that I found it, I just want to get it in there. Um, how's everything with you?
all right. I started work last weekend. I tried pulling the trigger a few times on starting that game dev thing, to using it as a chance to learn F sharp, but I just felt tired trying to get going with it, so I didn't. But and then this week at work, I needed to get talked back from jumping off the ledge.
Oh, you
Talk
getting ready?
myself back. I just got angry about something, so
Yeah,
irrationally.
I've been keeping my mouth shut, but talking to myself a lot um, at the end of like conference calls. Just like, man, I would not have made the same decision. Oh, I would be doing this so differently. And it's like just trying to remember that I'm not the one that's held massively accountable. That person is, and so I mean,
Yeah.
I try to remember that, and I think I'm really good at not. I think I'm really good at choosing my battles, but yeah, lately, like this past week, I've been like scratching my head, like why with certain things.
Yeah,
And
this
it's
was maybe one of those situations where I was asking why a lot, and it just, I don't know. The thing was is that there's this feature. I'm trying to be vague about it. There's this feature we have, and it oh, what is it? Well, it'll be a little less vague. We have this kind of like anonymous way to access the site that we're building, and um, we still need authorization around things that aren't allowed to be looked at anonymously. Uh, but and that's important. Uh, but a discussion we've had before, which is, do we make anonymous people have some sort of authentication, which isn't really, you can't authenticate someone who's anonymous anyways. Um, but do we make them go through and receive an identifier that kind of says that they went through and touched our authorization area or authentication area? Um, the thing is that it, the security concerns we have around other things that we need to close that is important doesn't rely on that one bit. Like, all you can do is say is, does somebody who does not have this token or whatever have access to this? Yes or no. If they don't, then you throw back a challenge or whatnot. So they they so let's just say it this way: the lack of having something um, is being treated as important when it's just another state, right? So if you have an option type, you have to handle the null state, right? Um, or the option state,
the nun
the
state.
none state, yeah. And so really, if you have a type that has a subtype of none, or if you have that type inside of an option type, they're, for all intents and purposes, identical to each other, right? You had a union type that says this is A, B, or none, or if you had a union type that was A, B, and inside of an option type that was that type or none, those are the same thing, right?
Okay.
Just, if you follow the paths in which how you need to process things, they're the same thing. Um, and they're suggesting for the third time now that it's important that we switch it from having an option type with this other value to having that be like part of the core list of values, and it's missing the point. Like, the important thing is that we put, yeah, and I'm trying to be vague, that we put controls around things and we have proper authorization for things, and that we don't need this. And it bothers me that they're zeroing in on this is the right reason we can't do that, or that it's absolutely necessary, because it's not.
Do
And
you
it's just a big friggin' waste of time.
do
I
you
mean, yeah, sorry.
do you think? And this is a sincere question. Do you think it's because of the paradigm that they've always been working in that is dictating consensus in which they're not really either seeing your view or appreciating it because they've always used the same hammer?
Um, Part of that, yeah. I'll give you just a little bit more information, but in ASP.NET Core, or MVC in general, right? If you want to authorize an endpoint, so in order to access an endpoint, an API call, you can put an attribute authorize over top of it. And that prevents people from accessing endpoints that they're not allowed to have. Okay. That can be important if you want to prevent people from getting at an endpoint. But if you have a use case for anonymous access to it, where people don't actually have to specify who they are, they can just access it, right? In addition to people who are authenticated, then having an authorized tag on it is basically pointless. I put it this way once: like if you were to, let's say, go to this mall, and to get in you had to show your ID, and okay, now you get an ID. You're like, okay, this person has to have an ID, they can get in. But if you don't have an ID, they could just let you in anyways, right? But instead, what they're suggesting they do is that the person without the ID goes to a table over there, tells the person, hey, give me a fake ID or a ID with nothing on it. And then that's what they use to get in.
Yeah.
It's kind of a waste of time.
Well,
and it doesn't solve the problem.
It's a kludge. Is it called kludgy or kludge?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that I can see reasons why we might want to do that if we're using, if it wasn't truly anonymous access. So if it was Magic Link access or something like that, where you get kind of like a temporary thing, which is a totally different paradigm, and it doesn't negate the other one. It's just a different mode of normal authentication. But like I said, the big thing is that they're missing the more important thing that we don't need to solve this for. We don't need to have even the discussion is, let's say for the mall example, once you're in the mall, how do you know what a person who's anonymous has access to versus someone who's authenticated has access to? So it's, and that having the endpoint security doesn't matter. You need to have resource authorization, and
it sounds like their domain model is just effed up, or they didn't model their domain at all, and they're just literally cowboying it.
Yeah, well, it wasn't expressed as a concern until somebody raised it, and now they feel like it's important. But the thing is that if it is important that we lock these things down, we don't even need to have the discussion of whether anonymous users need to have some sort of access token or not. Because if you're going to allow the anonymous flow, you have to allow anonymous people access to things. And even if they get, if they can get a token anonymously to get access to those things, it's the same as if you just say, handle the case where there's no token. So unless there's some other bit of data that would prevent them from getting in, it's just pointless in it. It annoys me because there's other problems. And if, let's just say, we just didn't have anything else to do, I'd probably be like, all right, whatever, we can do this, fine, not a big deal. We have a lot of other things to do. And then on top of that, there's things that we are sacrificing, and sub is saying like, okay, we're not going to do this because it's too much. We've got to sacrifice areas, and those things are important. They're probably revenue generating, but we're like so focused in on those bits that it bothers me, because I hate people really wasting time when I feel like it could just be done. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox here. I had to leave that meeting halfway through, and I was about ready. I'm just like, I'm going to go to my LinkedIn thing. I'm going to update my thing to say I'm open for any offers, because I'm just going to increase my timeline here to explore other opportunities. Because
do you feel like your experience is being relied upon, or do you feel like you're expected to be a heads down coder.
So in that context, the heads down coder bit, and or more just toe the line. Uh, I don't know. To me, it's like I don't understand when you present what I feel is rational arguments, that people they just don't get it, or they don't ignore it, or I must be speaking another language. I don't understand it.
Uh,
But then yesterday I had a meeting in the afternoon that was totally energizing, a totally the opposite experience, was actually able to, do more than, like, if you're given an opportunity to actually develop the product versus develop the code, if that makes sense. Like, we need to add this feature. How are we going to implement that? Which ways might we integrate it into the thing? What do we have or we don't have? And be able to contribute to those discussions, give alternate ways to do something different options to someone. That kind of stuff is energizing. It's like, damn, it's kind of my jam. And so I was pretty pumped at the end of the day yesterday, though. So it's kind of a hit and miss. It's like, but then, even that work, which, like I said, could be revenue generating, is way more important to talk about uh, than this stuff. And not I should say not this stuff, because the security aspect of it, the authorization aspect of it is important, but how we handle an anonymous case is not important, in terms of recognizing that someone's anonymous, because it's really easy to just say, if it's not there, they're anonymous. Poof. But they want to have this, like, little, I don't know if it's just a comfort thing, that they must have the authentication attribute on top of an NVC, endpoint, in order to make them feel like they've done something. And I'm like, listen, that can give you warm and fuzzies to have it there, but you're not accomplishing anything by doing that.
sounds like they're working for a tool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because it's endpoint authorization. I can sign up with a fake email address with a fake name and gain access to that, a token that would give me access to everything behind an authorization token or an authorization header. But what we need is the imperative resource authorization, and that there is not what they're focusing on. Like, that seems to be the secondary concern in their minds, or like that one's a predecessor for the other, and it's not. Because and I know this because we implemented resource authorization in the code that I'm working on, and it works just fine. So, sorry, I get worked up about it.
Man up. So, what's your ideal job? Where you applying? What would you apply for? Architect?
I'm gonna become a janitor, I think.
Custodian?
I'm gonna become a custodian, and I'm gonna write programs on the blackboard at night, and then I'm gonna get found out, and someone's gonna be like, "You're a good coder. Why are you doing janitoring?" Because I want to. No.
You think there's prodigies out there that are completely? I know the answer is yes. Well, emphasis on prodigies that are out there that have never been recognized, and so they don't even know.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you've never had a chance to, like, you might be an exceptional coder if you've never had a chance to actually sit down and write code before. You'd never know that. We probably all have kind of innate talents in us that we have to explore in order to actually find them. So to find out if we have at least the initial knack for it. Beyond that, obviously requires practice. But I don't know. Like, I didn't feel like I'm a pretty decent coder, so I can pump out code pretty fast when I've got a clear understanding of requirements. But I would have never known that if I had never taken, a programming course. So.
Yeah. I mean, what you're going through, I don't know. Maybe it's not exactly what I'm going through, but
Yeah.
It's like I think I can understand the part where you're trying to filter yourself and say we knew how this would. Everybody knows how. If you go a certain path, we all have enough experience to know what the later chapters are going to look like or be like, and we consistently make the decision to continue going down these paths, acting as if we're a unicorn and things are going to be different, and it's not. When you take shortcuts for the sake of short term demos, it's high likelihood that you're not going to go back and fix it. It is, right? And so I just wish that discipline was consistently maintained so that aggravation wouldn't be imminent. I don't know how else to be abstract about it.
Yeah, I guess from part of this frustration too might be that um, I think people with the title of architect need to think at the level of an architect and leave the software development to people who write code. Um,
That's
if
almost
that makes sense.
contrary to what I believe.
No, man. I think of architecture as well. It depends on what type of architecture. When it comes to application architecture, just about most every software developer with a few years of experience can do that kind of work. And when it comes to particular, things that developers have to do, we're all capable of setting that up and doing it. I think architects are better served at dealing with things like contract negotiation for third party tools. They're better at dealing with resource management in terms of server capacity and distributed system layout and stuff like that. But when it comes to building a services or set of service, so I always delineated it maybe as this. There's the line between functional and non-functional requirements that some people don't want to talk about anymore that way, but um, the non-functional stuff being like performance and reliability and that stuff. I feel like architects can do a great job at focusing in on those from a systems level perspective. But when it comes to just like how are we doing implementing the details of how this feature gets done, they can just mind their own friggin' business. It's a different skill set, and I
I
don't know.
feel I don't know. I feel like architects should be like in the trenches, but they should have their own like area of the feature, but still held accountable for the overall vision. So like I think an architect should have skin in the game. They're writing code. They're delivering value via code and management, but that they they give out orders and they trust the people that are in the positions to carry them out in a responsible manner.
Yeah,
Right?
see, to me, architecture isn't a leadership position.
It's
It's
not.
not.
What is it?
No,
Support position? What is it?
no, it's a different skill set.
Because what you explained about third party vendor negotiation stuff like that, I'm thinking that's not an architect at all. I'm thinking that's a chief technical officer.
Well, no, I mean, but to help from the technical aspect of those kinds of things, with those types of deals, um, but also and evaluating whether it fits the particular needs or not with the help of developers. But I don't think of it as like the architect is the technical lead for things. Um, because they're not. It's a different skill set, right? They're looking at the structure of the system and evaluating whether it can withstand particular things. That's what architecture is in general, right? Um, but does an architect
Yeah, I
like
never really thought about it like that.
I mean, in a
What you said
building,
what you said makes sense. It's about, I mean, an architect is held accountable for making sure that the specifications are going to, one, make sense for what's being built, and then two, when it's built, measured, that it's going to hold up and still meet specification. But I don't think in practice that's what architects
yeah,
are. Architects are people that are usually, they usually have seniority, but it has nothing to do with, well, I would say architects are usually people that are older, that are out of touch, but are still making decisions.
yeah. But and the thing is, there's a couple architects that I work with where I feel like they're at the right level in terms of what they're the problems they're solving, who they're talking to, the discussions that they're in, the way that they respond to development teams. Like most of them, I don't, honey. It was on your backpack before. Most of and that's fine. There's one in particular that just I don't know. They've got the insights of a doper contemplating their existence of a bong or something. You know, like they're focused on the wrong things, the wrong level. Um, they're meddling, and I cannot, like, this is the first time I've encountered one of these types of architects since I left my last place. So, and it makes the entire thing infuriating. So,
Who's the author of Dilbert?
Scott Adams.
Has he ever, like, does he actively get interviewed within the tech community?
No, not really. He's
Or is
mostly moved
he
on to
just,
political stuff now, though.
okay?
He's a guy. If you follow his Twitter feed and his bloggings and stuff, where you start, he does a really good job of explaining why Trump isn't just necessarily a bumbling idiot. That a lot of what he's doing is based off of learned skill and that and around persuasion and psychology more than anything. So it's fascinating stuff. If you want a different viewpoint on things, I'd recommend following him on Twitter. He's entertaining too, entertaining as hell.
Well, I just appreciate his cartoons because I feel like he gets his material from people like me.
Yeah, occasionally on Twitter he asks for people to share their stories too, so that he's like, maybe I'll turn it into a Dilbert comic.
So he's still active or no?
Oh yeah, he's still doing that.
Well, in regards to Dilbert.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still doing it. But he's got books, like he did a book after the 2016 election called Win Bigly, which was about kind of I think was persuasion around Trump. I haven't read that one, but he's got a couple other books that are pretty good. One I read a while ago, which was how to lose at everything and still win big, or something like that. How to fail at everything and still win big, or something like that. Was it? And it's kind of a part of a biography or autobiography by himself, but a lot of it's just practical advice and psychology and things. He talks about stuff like affirmations and blah blah blah. And then he has one that came out recently. I don't know why I'm spacing on the name. Loser Think. And I think the subtitle for that one is How Untrained Minds Are Ruining America, or something like that, or ruining the world, or whatever. But there, what he's doing is taking different discipline. He kind of spreads it out, like he's talking about different disciplines and how they approach problems and techniques that they use to solve things. So, and how to not have loser think, I guess. So it's I don't know. It's If you're not following him, I would. The only podcast I've ever heard interview him was Hanselman did it once. So, although I don't think he would nowadays, because everyone thinks he's like a super Trump supporter, which if you listen to him, he's not. He just respects the guy's skills a lot.
You're talking about Adams or
Yeah,
Hampton?
Adams.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, this election is. I don't know why society habitually elects elderly people to rule them. I don't understand that logic. I'm not, it's okay. I'm gonna get therapy for it. Like they purposely entertain candidates that are elderly as if they're the sharpest people in the world. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure they have wisdom, but they're not going to be living or even like active. They're going to be veggies in 20 years, man. And retarded society can't understand that. I wish I never went to college. All right, I'm done. Um,
Yeah.
hopefully, I'll have something to demo next Friday. I've been making hella progress. I didn't even check my Twitter notifications. I decided, what's today? Today's Friday. I think on like Tuesday, I decided that I was going to be a troll for the day.
I
And
saw that.
I haven't checked my Twitter since Tuesday, I think. Whenever that happened, I haven't checked it since. I'm going to check it tomorrow when I have free time, and I'll probably battle whoever is like, I don't know, telling me off or reporting me to the F Sharp Foundation. But
Yeah, I think you were responding. I saw something where you're responding to someone like only
sarcasm.
if you don't know F sharp or something you do this or whatever, or that's
Well,
amateur. That's amateur hour.
well, so there was one dude named Corey House. Is that his name?
Oh, Corey? Yeah. Yeah.
Corey House is like he said he
Oh,
said
switch
something
statements. Yeah.
he said something about switch statements being useful, and he's a well-known person, but I don't care. So I'll reply, switch statements are for amateurs, real developers flex with discriminated unions or whatever. And and someone told me that wasn't nice to say, and I replied, "Oh, we live in a hypersensitive society. Like it was a joke." And then like ever since they replied saying that I wasn't being nice because I had the audacity to say that maybe I hurt someone's feelings because I said that there was something that was better and that if they're using switch statements, maybe they're amateurs. Then I kind of like use it as fuel. And someone else commented, I don't know, on switch statements or something. And I ended up calling them an amateur too, not because of them, but because of the tools that they were using.
Hmm.
And so he reported me to fsharp.org or whatever. I,
Really?
I didn't know. Well, so
Jeez.
he did pound F sharp, and then the thought leaders of F sharp, Tomas Petracek, and a couple other people. Visual Studios program manager. I forgot his name already. It's on the tip of my tongue. Carter Temp or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were kind of compelled because they're the faces of F sharp, or some of the faces of F sharp. They immediately had to like say, "Oh no, that's wrong. Don't do that," because they have to because men are gay now, and if they don't like something that you're doing that has nothing to do with them but has to do with something that they're interested in, then they cry about it instead of handling like men. So
Hmm. Yeah, I don't see that particular set of
it's too much estrogen
things. Yeah.
in
I saw
society.
I mean, switch statements are, and I think you saw this is how some like TypeScript and I think C sharp's getting there is how they're implementing discriminated unions, but um, in some ways, anyways. Uh, but yeah,
I was just having fun, and like people just get butt hurt, man,
yeah,
and they shouldn't. Like, get some testosterone treatment. Like seriously, because like you are getting emotional and telling on me when you could just be manning up and say, all right, jokes aside, why do you feel this way? Stop telling me I'm not being nice and tell me why I said that. Like, man up.
Yeah.
Freaking homos. For something to be like so like male dominated, I can't tell in regards to the industry. So
I don't know if it maybe it's just Twitter. I don't know. The thing is it's what's difficult about Twitter is that you can't express the the nonverbal communication about something. Like if you were sitting with and we were sitting at the lunch table and I was like, oh yeah, I love using switch statements, and you're like, man, switch statements are stupid and whatever. But if you were doing it smiling and you were jabbing me, the thing is that I can tell what your intent is and that it is a joke. The problem is you don't get that nonverbal on Twitter, so it's people take it in whatever way they want to see you say that. Like they imagine it. And so if they imagine you being serious and yelling at them, that's what they're seeing, and then that's why they probably get hurt. Um, Emojis actually help with this. If you use emojis in some of your communications
yeah,
to express how you're saying something, that actually has a huge impact on the way that it's perceived. Of course, some people don't like emojis either, um, but like if you put in switch statements and then what you said, but put a smiley face at the end, it would immediately probably have been like a you know diffuser of the whole thing. So
no, F that. I don't want to diffuse. I just had to take time off so I could focus without keep running back to the keyboard to reply or try to further make fun of people. I mean, I'll do it tomorrow, but I really wanted to make progress on my project and also at work. So
cool.
yeah, so I hope to have something to demo. Specifically, I hope to have next Friday demoing, as you saw, order being placed, and then the status of that order on the courier. Start over. And the status of that order on the customer application being updated to accepted, estimated time of arrival, arrived at pickup, en route to drop off, and drop off. I hope to be able to demo the UX for that.
Hmm.
I wrote hella infrastructure, man. Like I'm considering like just I want to sell the code that I wrote.
You got
Like
a lot of hours into it.
I I mean I created like a whole like CRUD support library for Azure topics. Um, and this is like creating topics on the fly and disposing of them when you're done, and filters and all that stuff. So, do people sell NuGet libraries, or is it just all open source? Period.
No, people do. And I think in Service Bus sells. You have to have a license to use the packages that they send out. PDF. There's PDF libraries that are distributed by NuGet packages, but you have to have a license key to do it, to use it. So they do. Um, you'd have to find a consumer for it, but
Yeah, I mean, regardless, like that's not how I plan to make money, but I'm definitely think I'm gonna make it into a NuGet package because I wrote a lot of infrastructure, man. That doesn't return null. So,
null. Yeah, or none. Returns none.
oh, it could return none, but you're not going to get any null reference exceptions. At least you shouldn't.
Yeah. When I'm building the project that I currently have, I was set out like we're not going to have a null reference exception, and that
Good
didn't
luck.
happen. I don't think any of the code that
Good luck.
I've written has had null reference exceptions run. But yeah, it's really difficult if people aren't very in C sharp anyways.
Yeah, I was
People
going to
aren't
say,
very
it's
diligent.
not the people, it's the language.
Yeah.
So what you got planned for next week?
I should write fizz buzz in F sharp and then just have you code review it, just so I have something.
So you're really serious about F sharp, huh?
I don't. I feel like it would jive with the way that I'm going in terms of like my software development mentality. Because man, I want to write safe, like type safe code, and it's so cumbersome in C sharp to do it. It's just and nobody, you can't get people in that ecosystem to want to write it that way. So
Yeah. I think the I think the worst is when you do something that isn't mainstream and people can't appreciate what you experience from it, right? And
yeah,
so like F sharp is one example, psychedelics is another example. Like till you like go into that paradigm and you treat it as a tool, then people just won't appreciate it. So
yeah, you kind of got to drink the Kool Aid.
um
So
I would so when I was learning F sharp, let me share my screen real fast. How do I share my screen? Hold up. So when I was learning F sharp, um, what what I did was, and I kind of showed this last Friday when you and I were talking, or when we were talking, whatever is I can't say the word, grammatically correct,
grammatically,
grammatically correct,
yeah,
is
grammarica.
grammatically correct. uh, what's it called? It's Code Kata. It should have a cat on it. It's not Code Wars. Is it this right here? Is there a cat on here? Yeah. Um, because you've been talking about F sharp, specifically learning it, I think this should be your first step. I think you should go through these katas, and you're going to get stumped, and you post it on Twitter or on Stack Overflow about whatever compilation error you're getting, or why this code that you just wrote isn't ideal and was an alternative to get what you want in the language that you're using. And I mean that's essentially what I did. So
Yeah, I have a hard time. The thing about this is I have a hard time getting the motivation to go through uh, examples like this, like because I could also do something like run some Project Euler uh, things just to get the syntax down for algorithms and stuff like that. Actually, one of the biggest things I need to figure out is sequences and lists and array structures and all that kind of stuff in uh, in F sharp.
what's your
Because I was,
question?
well, I just I need to learn the syntax for it. Because in like I know how to solve certain problems with IEnumerable and C sharp, creating ranges, for instance, or and then using link effectively to mutate data, or not mutate it, but transform data uh, through a series of pipes or whatnot. But just to get those kinds of things down. Uh,
So a sequence is the same thing as IEnumerable in F sharp.
yeah, yeah, and so I'm trying to relay those things back to each other. Um, so like I was sitting down and I think I was going to work on this 7-day roguelike project, and I started to kind of map out the types for a map and stuff. But then I was thinking about, okay, how do I actually generate a map? And kind of some of the approaches I've used in C sharp are to do like enumerable, create a range of integers, and then I transform those integers into using combine them with random data to produce the map I want. Um, and I know there's pretty simple ways from what I can see in F sharp to do these kinds of things. I just don't know the incantations. So
So here's the um, uh,
do you use record types a lot, or do you use class types more? or tuples more? What there's just all over the place in terms of what you use.
Hold up for 1 second. It should be something like that.
Yeah. So is that a cast?
How do you spell I enumerable? Enumerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cast.
Okay. So colon greater than is a cast.
So like these are the same thing, even though they have different types, quote unquote, uh, at runtime, or maybe even at compilation. Well, maybe at runtime,
Mhm.
a sequence is I enumerable. All right. So what's your question?
Okay. So let's just say, for instance, like how would you write if you wanted to create using sequence? Let's just say a 10 by 10 grid of characters where the outside characters of the grid, so the x0, y0, x max, y max, are the hash or the pound symbol, and the rest is periods.
See, you asked me questions about math, and I
Oh,
pretty much I'm like a deer in headlights when it comes to math.
no, this isn't really it's not so much a math thing as, well, I guess the x and y coordinate thing is, but you've got a grid, essentially a you know, basically you've got a row of, let's just say 10 hashes followed by 8 rows of hash with, 8 periods and a hash, and then end it with a row of all hashes, or sorry, pound symbols. I don't know what you even call that now. Hashtag C#, call it the sharp symbol. I don't know.
All right. So you hold up. I think there's a way to do multi-dimensional with arrays. I just it was I know for a fact there is. What was create? I don't know.
I gotta run here shortly, but
Yeah, I can't help you with anything that deals with mathematics, or even I interpret as mathematics, as then I get flustered.
here, let me
Should be on Stack Overflow though. Stack Overflow creates multi-dimensional.
I don't know if this is the correct number, but basically I'm trying to just, oh, and it's not, oh damn, stupid comments aren't going to come out that way. Um, no, it's basically like actually maybe I'll just take a screenshot quick. But really, it's not that I need to create characters. It's that each of these are really represent tiles within a. Now I'm kind of getting interested in the problem now that I can actually talk to someone about it. Like maybe I should just have someone watch me code. And
I know. If it helps, if it helps, I had a blog post about creating a card game that's multi-dimensional, right?
yeah, I think so. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a multi-dimensional array, because another way to model this is to say all you're doing is going through 100, a sequence of 100, and then assigning, and you could just store the indice and then compute later what the XY value of it is. But you have to kind of follow the sequence of values. And then the thing is, these things are going to have to contain other values over time and stuff. It's, yeah.
I'll toss you this, and maybe this is something that could, I don't know, may or may not help. Man,
It's funny, as I
did this in
wrote
2015. Wow.
I wrote something just like this in C# for, not just like it, because obviously I can't write exactly that, but I was trying to produce something like this in C# for a game jam that I was trying to do a couple summers ago. I was trying to do a poker game a game where you'd go around and like a dungeon crawling game. You'd walk through dungeons and you'd fight monsters, but you'd fight using poker. And so you'd bet. And I was trying to figure out how this mechanic would work, but you'd bet um, using different attacks, and you could up the ante. But if they won the poker game, then you would be subject to those attacks. Kind of a deal. It was kind of a. I thought the idea was good. But I spend a lot of time trying to make a type safe or to model the poker game really well in C#, and it's just way more cumbersome than that.
Have you considered Darklang?
I don't know.
Have you heard of Darklang before?
No.
Yeah, I'm interested in it. I haven't tried to. It looks like it has a, so it's an ML language. So I mean, it looks almost identical to F#. And they have videos on it, right? But basically, the concept is you're letting the FP language um, handle all the back end infrastructure. So you're not interfacing with a database. You're not interfacing with I don't know, some REST APIs or anything like that. You're literally like just writing code, and it's doing all that stuff behind the scenes with Kubernetes and scaling and generating a database and then dropping entries in there.
My bus is coming soon.
Yep.
All
Yeah,
right,
in a second.
Yours died.
Yeah, I got to run here. So
all right, it's been real.
yeah, I'll take a look at this Darkling.
Yeah, I don't know. It may be something you say, oh, this is a horrible idea. Because I was talking to, I forgot his name. He's like over in England, and he does a live stream on whatever Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
He went on a tirade, but you're about to take off. So
Yep. All right. Well, have a good week.
It's been real. Thanks. You
Cheers.
too.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. And I am out.